certain masail, issues we dealt with in detail from the book, starting from scratch. Starting from scratch. There were certain issues of traveling that were based off of the hadiths mentioned in the chapter. Certain issues pertaining to traveling and the traveler's prayer that were based off of the specific hadiths in the chapter. So those hadiths that we explained, and we read the speech of Nawawi regarding the madhahib of the ulama of past and of present. That's what's meant by starting from scratch. The ruling on doing this based off of hadith of Ibn Umar. The ruling on doing this when you're traveling is based off the hadith of Anas. That is the asl. That's the asl al-bab. That's the first and main ingredient of the recipe. You're making bread, you make it from scratch. Not mixed, from scratch. You're making mashed potatoes. The first ingredient is going to be obviously potatoes. That's the asl. Then there's salt, then there's butter, then there's water, etc. Flour is the main ingredient of your bread, of your cake. Everybody understand this? And then you also have a mix in which you just blend it up and mix it up. But we started from scratch. And there are other issues that were already made. Other issues of traveling that we just read, the furu'. We dipped in and dipped out really quick. A branch. Naam Abdul Qawi, a what? A branch. How long does the trip have to be? How long do you have to stay? Does it have to be a trip based off of obedience? Hajj, Umrah, Hijrah, Jihad? Or can it be any trip that you make? That issue wasn't based off of what? The hadiths in the what? In the chapter. It wasn't based off of the hadiths what? In the chapter. That was a side issue. That was a branch. So we didn't make that what? From scratch. Everybody understand this? So there's certain issues when you're reading a sharh of Bukhari, a sharh of Nawawi, of any book, in which this hadith is aslul bab. What is the ruling on making the niyyah for salah, for tahara, for istinja, for wudu, for ghusl? Aslul bab, innama al-a'malu bin-niyat. The hadith of Umar al-Khattab, that is the main staple ingredient from scratch. And in the midst of reading the explanation of that hadith, side issues pop up, but they go away really quick. And the sharih, the explainer, the author is only bringing them up really quick and then right back to the original hadith. Everybody clear on this? But the actual ruling on making the intention in general, you've studied it from the hadith of Umar from scratch. And the other issues were what? Isharat. Quick, in and out. We explained this. It's a very important concept of studying. And how to properly benefit from a book. And how to properly benefit from a book like Sharh al-Nawawi. For all of the listeners and the watchers online. The brothers here in front of me, or the brothers and sisters that are watching online in different countries, whom we meet in Canada, whom we meet in different places, and they say, I have the Sharh al-Nawawi, I'm following, give me some tips, look at my notes, help me benefit more. So Nawawi, rahimahullah ta'ala, he brought up the issue of what trip does a person have to make in order for him to be able to shorten the prayers. That was not based off of what? Any hadiths in the chapter. There was no hadith in the Sahihain in the chapter that specified that ruling. That is a ruling, that is an issue that did what? It popped up. It did what? It popped up. And we didn't study it directly from scratch. A side ingredient. Everybody understand this? I'm making my mashed potatoes from scratch. But I don't have the necessary ingredients to make this other dish from scratch. So that's coming out of a can. That's coming out of a can or a box. Which inshallah ought to be good too. But it's not the same as you what? Smashing the potatoes yourself from a starting point. Everyone understand what we're saying or not? Very important concept of understanding the speech of the ulama and benefiting from the books of the classical ulama. So we discussed many issues of traveling. Some of them directly from the book, and others were what? Tayyib. So we reached chapter number 3. in which it says باب الصلاة في الرحال في المطر. حديث ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما أنه أذن بالصلاة في ليلة ذات برد وريح ثم قال ألا صلوا في الرحال ثم قال إن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يأمر المؤذن إذا كانت ليلة ذات برد ومطر يقول ألا صلوا في الرحال. Hadith number 404 is narrated by Nafi'. It says, once on a very cold and stormy night, Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma pronounced the adhan for as-salah and then said, pray in your homes. He, Ibn Umar, added, on a very cold and rainy night, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to order the mu'adhin to say, pray in your homes. Pray in your homes. And we already know that this hadith is collected in Sahih Bukhari and in Sahih Muslim. Hadith 405. Hadith ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma قال لمؤذنه في يوم مطير إذا قلت أشهد أن محمد رسول الله فلا تقل حي على الصلاة قل صلوا في بيوتكم فكأن الناس استنكروا قال فعله من هو خير مني إن الجمعة عزمة وإني كرهت أن أحرجكم فتمشون في الطين والضحك. Narrated Muhammad ibn Sirin, and here it says in the English radiyallahu anhu, which is another mistake. Muhammad ibn Sirin is not from the Sahaba. On a rainy day, Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma said to his mu'adhin, after saying ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, do not say hayya ala salah, but say sallu fi buyutikum, pray in your houses. So the man, it says in parentheses, he did so. The mu'adhin, he said that, pray in your houses. But the people disliked it. Ibn Abbas said, it was done by one who was much better than I. No doubt the Jum'ah prayer is compulsory, but I dislike to put you at task, or to put you to task, by bringing you out walking in mud and slush. By bringing you out walking in mud and slush. So we have two authentic narrations here, which are plentiful and bountiful of benefits. And that's because these two narrations give us both, or give us three things now. Three things. 2 to 3 things. Number one, it gives us textual wording from the Prophet ﷺ, or something from the Prophet ﷺ's direct marfu' sunnah. Prophet did it. Prophet said it. Prophet allowed it. Prophet commanded. Everybody understand this? And it also gives us what? What else does it give us? It gives us the action of the companion, the understanding of the companion, the understanding of the Sahabi, and how somebody didn't understand or didn't agree or rejected it, and he validated his understanding and his action with the Prophet's action. So it has the words of the Prophet or the action of the Prophet and the direct application of the Sahabi. This is considered to be a juicy faida. It's a double. You get the statement of the Prophet, the action of the Prophet, and the companion directly what? Implementing it. That's not the same as we read in Athar. We have Musannaf Abdul Razak. Tayyib. A book full of Athar al-Sahaba. Or Musannaf ibn Abi Shaybah. In which Ibn Abbas is quoted to have done this on a day in which it was stormy and rainy. Ibn Abbas said, don't walk in mud and slush, stay in your homes. This goes to show us that Abdullah ibn Abbas's understanding of rain and slush and mud and slush is that the people do not have to come to the Jama'ah. So that's the madhab of Ibn Abbas. That's the fatwa of Ibn Abbas. That's the action of Ibn Abbas, which we could take, we may not take. Other companions may went to the masjid, etc. That's what Ibn Abbas did. But nowhere does it say that Ibn Abbas is saying, I got this directly from the Prophet. The Prophet directly said it or did it or allowed or command. This is what he's doing. Ibn Abbas is a great scholar, but he's not attributing it to the what? The Prophet says this hadith is what? Double. Because the Prophet could say something to do something, but have a different application, a different understanding. Or Ibn Umar understands it in a different light. Or Ibn Abbas understood it in a different light. Here we have what the Prophet said to have done, and what Ibn Umar what? Put into actual practice, showing that this is the fiqh of this narration. Everybody understand this? So whenever you find a hadith like this, then it's something, that you should really hold down to. Everybody clear on this or not? Everybody understand this? Tayyib. So that we have in both of these narrations. Now, the question is, what does this chapter have to do with the traveler's prayer? What does this chapter have to do with the traveler's prayer? Nowhere is it mentioned that these people are traveling. One narration says, Sallu fi rihal, pray in your rihal, which one can translate to mean home, and one may also translate it to pray in your tent. Pray where your mount is, and not an actual house, home establishment. So one may say this proves that they were what? Traveling. But Ibn Abbas's narration clearly says, Sallu fi buyutikum, your houses. Let alone the fact that the Jumu'ah for a traveler is not necessarily mandatory. There are certain details when you have to make Jumu'ah, if you stop, if you're around the adhan, but the concept of a traveler is not the same as a resident with regards to Jumu'ah. So Ibn Abbas's hadith is closer to the side that they weren't what? Traveling. Everybody understand this? So why is it in this chapter? Why is it what? In the chapter of Salat al-Musafirin wa Qasriha. The chapter of those who shorten their prayers and those who travel or travel and shorten their prayers. Why is it in this chapter? Oftentimes, Imam Muslim, rahimahullah ta'ala, he puts the hadith in a specific order and he brings them as he has them. And they may have it may be a sidebar. These hadith are not the main topic of the kitab or of the bab. And they're just there. So the author or the compiler of wal-Marjan, he put the hadiths that are in Bukhari and Muslim in the succession in the order of Nawawi's Sharh, as we have explained. So oftentimes you find certain hadiths in places that may not what? Seem to fit right. May not seem to fit right. Everybody clear on this or not? Tayyib. Let's move forward. Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhuma, hadith number 4, his narration proves, or the chapter heading says, Babu salati fi rihali fil matar. Yani the permissibility of praying in your home or praying in a place of residence when there is rain. When there's what? When there's rain. And based off of qiyas, any other inclement weather condition. Or as they say, bad weather, which I really don't like to say. The weather is bad or the weather is nasty. I don't think that's good adab to speak like that. The weather has no mind in itself. Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one who moves and decrees for the wind or the snow or the rain or the heat to be that way. So a weather or weather conditions which are unfavorable, difficult, challenging. Everybody understand this? Inclement weather, etc. So therefore, praying in your home in any situation that's similar to the hardship of rain. Snow, like in the United States. Sure, brothers in Canada. It was freezing cold in Ottawa. I've never been to a place colder than Ottawa. The amount of ice and snow. And the brothers and the sisters, they said this year is mild. This is the hottest winter we've had. It's freezing cold, akhi. And Allah knows, the brothers that were with us on that trip. It looked like it was normal. It was so cold, I exaggerate to you not, that I saw a lady walking down the street with a dog. And she had winter boots on her dog's paws. All 4 of them. Walking on the ice in the cold concrete in Ottawa. Al-Muhim, Abu Cold Feet. At the end of the day, alhamdulillah, Allah allowed me to be prepared well that night. At the end of the day, or that day, at the end of the day, is that snow is no different than what? Rain. It's not specific just to rain. Or it's very what? Windy. In the southwest, a tornado. Or southeast, you're in Florida, a hurricane. Or a tropical storm. Mudslide, tsunami, things like this. Or it's an attack of insects or attack of the birds. Whatever is an unfavorable condition, this ruling also what? Applies. For him to have that, ikhwan? So rain is only one thing that's mentioned. It doesn't mean that it's specific to rain. Because the wisdom applies to other situations what? As well. Everybody understand this or not? Even with modern technology. Even with what? Modern technology. Unless it's something that's considered to be normal to the people. As we previously said. In which, where you come from, you go to this place, say, it's freezing cold. I don't want to leave my house. I don't want to leave my Airbnb. I don't leave my hotel and go to the lecture or the masjid. It's too cold. It's too much ice. And the people in the Ottawa, they say this is what? Normal. The city cannot shut down because of this. In Minnesota, The life goes on because it's still freezing cold. It doesn't matter. You take a cup of water, you throw it in the air, and it does what? Before it comes down, it's frozen. They say this is normal for this time of the year. This isn't a time for rukhsa. Now, when it's 40, 50 below, this and that, then that's a different what? Their story, in which they themselves say it's an extreme condition of snow and ice. Stay in your house. Everybody understand this or not? So it's also going to be relative. It's also going to be what? Relative. If you live in Seattle, in which it rains often, it's not the same as it's raining where you are in another state. Even though the rain in Seattle wasn't that severe. It rained about maybe 10 times in one day, but it was mild rain. It wasn't like a thunderstorm type of rain. It was off, on, off, on. It wasn't serious like that. Everybody understand this? The point I'm trying to get to have the proper fiqh of the text. Tayyib. So Ibn Umar, his narration says, or his narration teaches us the permissibility of praying in the home and times of any type of difficulty and hardship. Whether it's based off of weather or wild animals or a major type of danger, a serious legitimate threat, or you have to take care of someone and there's no one else to look after this old or sick elderly person or these children, whatever it may be. Whatever what? Whatever the situation or the condition what? May be. Along with preparing the necessary preparations, making the necessary preparations and managing your time. Managing your what? Your time. Managing your time properly. Everyone understand this? Managing your time what? Properly. Tayyib. And the same applies to Hadith 405. The same applies to Hadith 405. Hadith 404 we benefit is that it's from the sunnah to make the adhan. From the sunnah is to do what? It's to make the adhan. And we also benefit that it's from the sunnah to pray no matter what the situation. Good weather, quote unquote bad weather, hot, cold, rain, sleet, snow, hail. A Muslim is always to make what? Always to pray. And it also goes to show the virtue of being a mu'adhin. Was Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he himself was the mu'adhin. And Ibn Umar was also a great scholar. And we know that the ulama of Islam, they differ on what's best in al-Islam. Is it best to be an imam or is it best to be a mu'adhin? They differ on this issue. Without differing on the fact that it is highly, highly virtuous. Both acts. This also goes to show us combining between teaching physically and verbally. Ibn Umar did something and then he said that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ did it. And this also shows us the mercy and the compassion of the Sharia. And it is not meant to be a punishment upon the people and a hardship upon the people. And it's meant to look after the needs of the human beings. Hadith 405. This goes to show us that the scholar and the learned person should enjoin the good and forbid the evil. And he should teach and instruct the people who are around him, his mu'adhin, this one, that. When he told him to say this, he told him to what? To say that. And it also goes to show us the wisdom of the adhan. And that the adhan is not just purely dogmatic. It's not just something which you just say, just because to say it. But there's a meaning behind the adhan. Hayya ala salah. Come to the mosque. Come to the mosque. That's what he's telling you. Hayya ala al-falah. Hayya ala al-falah. Come to success. Come to success. And it's not just a ritual call. It's not just something you just do and say, but it has a what? A meaning. And that's why he says, instead of saying Hayya ala salah, say what? Sallu fi buyutkum. Pray in your homes. What? Pray in your homes. And this also goes to show us the ignorance of much of the sunnah that's widespread today, even among the people who claim it. Even among the people who what? Who claim it. You ever seen this done? Abu Sa'id? You ever seen this done? How رأيت هذا? وكم أمطرت السماء في أمريكا. Have you ever seen this done in any masjid? How many times has it rained? Countless times. Have you ever heard someone make the adhan like this? In the Prophet's city in Mecca, have you ever heard this? In a rainstorm or a sandstorm, have you ever heard them say this? Everybody understand this? Al-Muhim, it goes to show that the sunnah and claiming to be on it is a heavy responsibility. It's a heavy responsibility. And just the sheer statement of saying someone's on the sunnah requires a great deal of knowledge and a thorough, well-versed reading of the hadiths and fiqh and this and that and so on and so forth. Tayyib. Moving forward. This also goes to show us the permissibility of praying in one's home in the proper situation, and that the asl is to pray in the masjid. That's the asl. And also goes to show us the validity of praying in the home. It's valid. And this hadith also goes to show us, once more, as we just said about the sunnah being unknown to many of us, is that it's not just 2018. People say it's ignorance, that people are so ignorant, that people don't know, the things are hidden. Even back then, there was someone who istanka. هذا في عهد السلف يا طيب. This is in the time of the pious predecessors. Ibn Abbas did something, and it says here, فَكَأَنَّ النَّاسِ اسْتَنْكَرُوا, as if the people, meaning it was more than just one. What are you doing? It's weird. Why are you making this statement? As that there were things that were hidden and unknown even then. And this is the time of the best of the best. So what do you think about what? Now. And it goes to throw out the window those who say, oh, there's no excuse. It's well known. It's clear. The people have no excuse. You don't have no business going here. You can't go here. You can't do this. No, the people, they know it's clear. It's not clear. Everyone understand this or not? That you can't say that. And the perfect utopia that the people try to make of the past is not accurate. Everybody knew this. Everyone was doing this. Everyone agreed on that. Everyone did the same thing. That's not true. How many times we read that in this one book, Abdul Qawi? Countless times. Ibn Abbas asked this one. Aisha asked that one. What are you doing? Where'd you get this from? Omar threatened this companion. Abu Musa knocked 3 times and he left. Omar said, why did you leave? Abu Musa said, what? That's what the Prophet. Omar didn't what? As if he threatened him. Prove that you heard this from the Prophet. Who had more ilm? Abu Musa or Omar? Omar, what a question. And it was something that was what? Hidden to him. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu fighting the apostates. It was something that was what? Unknown to Umar. Everybody understand this? And there are thousands and hundreds of examples of the ulama of the past. Someone knowing something, someone denying, rejecting, and questioning and debating. That's how it is. And it's not how people try to make just everything just agreed upon. Except for the deviant people. Those are the people who differ. No, that's not true. Moving forward. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, he says, فَعْلُهُ مَنْهُ خَيْرٌ مِنِّي. It goes to show the virtue of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. He says, someone who's better than me did it. So you should what? Relax. He said, take a nap. Someone who's what? Better than me didn't do it. So calm down. And this goes to show, as we said once more, and it's not our focus of our classes, but it is a reality. And we cannot act like it doesn't exist when it comes to dawah. You do something, the same exact thing that a scholar did, that's respected by another group. They will refute you. They will criticize you. They deem you to be an innovator. But they won't say anything what? About that scholar. And then once you bring that up, then say, Akhi, don't use the sheikh as the dalil. The sheikh's action is not a what? It's not a dalil for your actions. Okay, one says, I'm not using his statement as a what? As a dalil. But I'm proving that your aggression is what? Is out of place. Now, Sheikh Fulan, who said the exact same thing, brother, he said worse than what I said. Also has to be Mubtadi', Dal, Mudil, Hizbi, and a list of names and titles that are given. And if not, then you're clearly proven to be a hypocrite. And you should have an ulterior agenda. Clear on that or not? Because the haqq is the what? It's the haqq. Everybody understand this or not? So Ibn Abbas, he said someone who was what? Better than me did it. So do not criticize and repudiate me unless you want to criticize and what? Repudiate him. Everybody understand this? And there are hundreds of examples what? Just like this. Hundreds of examples what? Just like this. Now, moving forward. It then says, إِنَّ الْجُمْعَةَ عَزْمَةً. This shows us that Jum'ah is mandatory and obligatory. And also shows us that the scholar and the imam and the leader should look after the needs of his people. He should be compassionate and understanding. I don't want you to walk in mud and slush. That's a hardship. That's a difficulty. Your clothes will become dirty. I don't want that hardship and that difficulty what? Upon you. This is from the etiquettes of a leader as well. طيب, moving forward. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says here, هذا الحديث دليل على تخفيف أمر الجماعة في المطر ونحوه من الأعذار وأنها متأكدة إذا لم يكن عذر وأنها مشروعة لمن تكلف الإتيان إليها وتحمل المشقة لقول في الرواية الثانية ليصلي من شاء في رحله وأنها مشروعة في السفر وأن الأذان مشروع في السفر. وفي حديث ابن عباس رضي الله عنه أنه يقول ألا أصلوا في رحالكم في نفس الأذان. وفي حديث ابن عمر أنه قال في آخر ندائه والأمران جائزان نص عليهم الشافعي رحمه الله تعالى في كتاب الأذان وتابعه جمهور أصحابنا في ذلك فيجوز بعد الأذان في أثنائه لثبوت السنة فيهما لكن قوله بعده أحسن ليبقى نظم الأذان على وضعه. ومن أصحابنا من قال لا يقول إلا بعد الفراغ وهذا ضعيف مخالف لصريح حديث ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما ولا منافاة بينه وبين الحديث الأول حديث ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما لأن هذا جرى في وقت وذلك في وقت وكلاهما صحيح. قال أهل اللغة الرحال المنازل سواء كانت من حجر ومدل وخشب أو شعر وصوف ووبر وغيرها وأحدها رحل. He says here, this hadith shows us is that the Jama'ah prayer, one can become exempt from it. And it's not as stringent, it's not as strict when there's rain. وَنَحْوِهِ, and anything similar to rain, as we just explained. My explanation, extraction is not what? From what? Everybody clear on this or not? He says here, وَنَحْوِهِ, anything else. مِنَ الْأَعْذَارِ, from excuses. Snow, injury, pain, vicious wild animal outside, whatever the case, in which is a legitimate excuse not to go to the masjid. Or what? A legitimate excuse. Everybody understand this? He says, and it goes to show us that the Jama'ah is very important when there's no excuse. When there's what? When there's no excuse. We already explained the ruling of making Salah al Jama'ah previously, and how the ulama differ over it. Some of them say it's obligatory, many of them say it's sunnah, many of them say it's obligatory upon a group of the Muslims. We explained that already. That's old. We explained that. Moving forward. The next point he says, and this also shows us, is that the Jama'ah is permissible for those who want to come to the masjid. You can make the Jama'ah if you choose to drive in the snow, or drive in the rain, or walk in the rain. It's not a hardship on me. I need the barakat, I want the hasanat, I'd rather get out, I want to pray in the house, I'm going outside to the store anyway, so let me go to the masjid. La bas. One can't say you can't make Jama'ah because it's raining. You can't pray because it's snow, we combined already. La. The Jama'ah is still valid for those who come and choose not to take the rukhsah. For those who choose what? Not to take the rukhsah. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala then says, this is based off of another version of the hadith. Obviously, it's not in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim and wal-Marjan. It says, لِيُصَلِّ مَنْ شَاءَ فِي رَحْلِهِ. He who wants to pray in his house can pray in his house. This also goes to show us, he says, that Salat al-Jama'ah is valid even when you travel. And making the adhan is also from the sunnah, even when you what? Even when you travel. He says another issue, or the next issue, is the narration of Ibn Abbas. It says, pray in your homes in the middle of the adhan. And Ibn Umar's narration says, pray in your rihal, or sallu fi rihal, in the end of the adhan. And he says that both styles are permissible. Both styles are permissible. The mu'adhin can say in the middle of the adhan, sallu fi buyutikum, sallu fi buyutikum. Or he can make the no more than, and after then say what? Sallu fi buyutikum, sallu fi rihalikum. I understand the issue? The two different issues now. One is making it when? In the adhan, in the middle. And the next is the adhan is finished, the no more than, and do what? Making it afterwards. He says both are permissible because of the hadith will clearly state that. And he mentions the Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala clearly stated that. And most of the Shafi'i scholars, they adopted that view as well. And he says, and some of them hold the view that it shouldn't be done. And it should be done afterwards. He says, and this is what? Listen to this. I know it, he says, for the adhan not to be mixed up. And for the original style of the adhan to be preserved. No, he says that's da'if, that's weak. Mukhalifun. He says, and this is against the clear sunnah. Once more, as we've explained hundreds of times, just because a scholar says something does not mean that it's automatically what? Sahih. Doesn't mean that. Just because someone adopts an opinion doesn't what? It doesn't mean that it's automatically the haqq. Does not mean that. If it's clearly against the authentic sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He then says, so both are permissible. He says what? Both are permissible. And then he speaks on al-rihal. Rihal, manazil, a place of dwelling. Stone, brick, clay, mud, wood, fur, hair, wool, whatever a person's tent or home or cubby hole is what? Made out of. Tayyib, moving forward. An-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says here, وفي هذا الحديث دليل على سقوط الجمعة بعذر المطر ونحوه وهو مذهبنا ومذهب آخرين وعن مالك رحمه الله تعالى خلافه والله تعالى بالصواب. He says, and this hadith also proves is that one does not have to make Jum'ah. One does not have to come to Jum'ah if it is raining. وَنَحْوِهِ, he says, in what? Anything similar to rain, such as severe snow, not a few flakes, it's sprinkling, a little bit of snow, but a snowstorm, in which a 30-minute drive is not a 3-hour drive, or they're going to shut down the roads, or your car is only 2-wheel drive. You're not a good driver. There's black ice. It's dangerous. Everyone understand this? It's a clear hardship to go. You don't have to what? You don't have to go to Jumu'ah. He says, and this is the madhab of Shafi'i, rahimahullah. That's their view as well. He says, and other scholars as well. And Imam Malik and others, they say the exact opposite. There is no what? No excuse. No, he says that the correct view or the way of the Imam Shafi'i is that when it's snowing outside or when it's difficult weather, one does not have to go to Jumu'ah. Now, that's the asl. The branch is, if you don't go to Jumu'ah, what do you make in your house or the office? Do you make dhuhr? Can you make Jumu'ah? How many people do you need to make Jumu'ah? Etc. If you come to Jumu'ah, can you combine Asr afterwards? These are all what? The branches from the Asr. Khairan, inshallah. Khairan. Let's move forward. Chapter 4. It says, باب جواز صلاة النافلة على الدابة في السفر حيث توجهت به. What time is the exam tonight? 5 minutes. And what time is the Iqamah? Khairan, inshallah. We'll stop here and leave a little bit of time for the questions. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.